netted dace.
Nice perch and loads of these roach.
The size of him. Beautiful tench, only indigenous carp. 4 or 5 pounds. All those fish that you've just seen were caught on a whip. This 4-metre whip cost me a tenner. This 6-metre whip cost me £175. And I've been fishing with all of them. And if you'd asked me 10 years ago which one I'd recommend, I probably would have given a different answer than the answer I'm going to give today. And one of the most common questions that I get asked by a beginner is, which whip should I buy? The trouble is that when you walk into a tackle shop, all the whips look fairly similar and they're difficult to tell apart. Some are fiberglass, some are carbon, some are elasticated, others aren't. Some cost less than a takeaway and others cost more than many fishing rods put together. So what's the difference? Before we talk about the different whips, let's answer a more important question. Why use a whip at all? We've got feeder rods, we've got float rods, we've got poles. So where does a whip fit? For me, the biggest advantage is the simplicity and the efficiency. There's no reel to manage, very little can go wrong, very few tangles, minimal tackle to carry, and when the fish are within whip range, the speed at which you can catch them is incredibly difficult to beat. The whip is probably the most efficient fishing tool ever invented. Everything becomes quicker. Fishing, the feeding, striking, landing fish, rebaiting, getting back in. But there's another reason why I love whip fishing. It's active. You're constantly engaged watching that float, dealing with fish, adjusting your rigs, making decisions. And in today's modern world where people don't have much time, a couple of hours whip fishing can be like the equivalent of spending a full day on the riverbank. You can travel light, set up quickly, pack away quickly, and spend more of your available time actually fishing. They're brilliant for learning how to feed swims, brilliant for learning watercraft, and brilliant for developing fish playing skills. And when conditions suit them, they're great fun. But they aren't always the right tool, and like all different methods, they've got their strengths and they've got their weaknesses. Whips were traditionally designed for catching lots of small fish. There's no point using a whip if the fish are feeding 20 yards out in front of you. The third limitation is space. I couldn't fish under here. It's not the sort of style of fishing where you can sit down, put it in a rod rest and relax all day. So what is a whip? At its simplest, it's a fixed line rod, and they're usually telescopic. Some of the longer whips are often whip systems that combine telescopic properties in the top with take-apart properties that you'd see more often in a pole. The shorter the whip, the more efficient, and you'll see 2-metre whips being used to catch bleak in huge quantities. At the other end of the scale, there's 8 or 9-metre system whips, but length doesn't necessarily tell the whole story. A longer whip is not necessarily a better whip, and well, because we'll see, the most expensive whip isn't necessarily the best whip for the job in hand. This is probably the type of whip that had the biggest influence on my thinking. It's a 4-metre fiberglass whip. I then added elastic, a bush and a bung. And for years, this was exactly the sort of whip I encouraged beginners to buy. In fact, if you've watched some of my older videos, you'll probably hear me saying exactly that. And it wasn't just me. Many of the beginner coaching events I helped with, similar elasticated fiberglass whips were being supplied through Environment Agency and Angling Trust initiatives. They were cheap, durable, beginner friendly, and there were good reasons they became so popular. It's easy to forget just how much sense they made. They're forgiving, they're robust, and when you're learning to play fish, elastic can cover up quite a few mistakes. Strike too hard, it's absorbed. Lift too aggressively, it's absorbed. Allow the fish to surge and it will just expand. The elastic helps to absorb all of that, and for a beginner that's incredibly useful. They're also far stronger than many people think. There goes the whip. This 5-metre whip has had the top section removed from it altogether, and this will stop double-figure carp. The biggest I've seen landed on these is 21 pounds. The difficulty that you've got is landing it because there's no puller bung. So with elastic stretched out and no opportunity to take sections off, you need a long landing net handle, a long reach, and a bit of luck. And you can land fish like that all day long. So if I'd spent years recommending beginners elasticated fiberglass whips, what changed? Well, it wasn't that they stopped working. I just started to look at it a bit differently. I used to have hundreds of them, and I started to use them myself just for a bit of fun, which gave me some really useful insight. What I found was that the more I used them without elastic, the more I enjoyed them. I loved the direct contact. And I love the simplicity. I love the feedback that you got from the fish that was previously absorbed by elastic. I liked the fact you had to play the fish properly as well. There was no elastic doing the work for you. You had to be ready to respond to every little movement from that fish or it'd be gone. You had to keep everything smooth and you had to be in control. And what surprised me was just how capable they were. I caught chub on them.
What method, lad?
On whip, 6 metre whip. I caught big carp on them. I caught big perch on them. And what I quickly began to realise was that actually they're the perfect learning platform for every other type of fishing when it comes to playing fish. I was catching fish that most people would assume you need elastic for. They worked perfectly well, but they were just too heavy. When I was teaching youngsters on the canal, the non-elasticated flick tips were yet lighter than the cut-back elasticated whips. The more I experimented, the more curious I became, and talking to experienced match anglers like my friend Steve Jackson, I began to understand more properly what I was experiencing and seeing. Advantages that I was starting to experience myself: direct control, direct contact, speed, efficiency. Fishing without elastic was actually far better. Let's not forget the key advantage of whip fishing is efficiency, and putting elastic in it takes some of that away. If you're on the river, the last thing you want is elastic pulling and a pike grabbing your fish. Another thing that always bothered me was the stored up energy in the elastic. It's not a freak accident to hear about pole floats and hooks and shot embedding themselves in anglers after line snapping and coming back on that high projectile elastic. Really good idea to wear glasses, especially on these commercials. By this point, I'd started to realise something else, that not all whips are designed for the same job. My Drennan Vertex whip is probably a good example of where anglers decide that actually they don't want a heavy fiberglass whip. This comes available either as a solid tip or as an elasticated tip. It's lighter and more responsive and pretty affordable. And I got the 5 metre because it's a pretty good all-round versatile tool. I can take the bottom off and fish it at 4 or 3 if I want. And although it's not immediately obvious to the naked eye, the Vertex is slightly thicker and the action on it is slightly more geared up towards catching slightly bigger fish. But once you take a closer look at the specialist whips on the market, you realise that there's very specific tools for very specific jobs. These old Census whips, for example, may be old, but they're perfect for the canal. And I'd probably choose this over the Vertex. If you take a closer look, the tip is actually really fine. It's designed for bleak, roach, small perch, dace, skimmers. They're lovely tools for the type of fishing that they were designed to do, and that's the important thing. When beginners start looking at whips, they often make the assumption that longer or stronger or more expensive whips are going to be somehow better. And that's not the case, because fishing doesn't work like that. So these whips are no better than the Vertex ones, and the Vertex ones are no better than these ones. And neither of these are better than the fiberglass one that I caught that big carp on earlier. They're simply designed for different jobs. And once you start understanding that, the variety of whips on the market starts to make a little bit more sense. So this is my Drennan Acolyte 4 metre whip. I'll be completely honest, I bought it as a treat for myself. It's the lightest whip available on the market. It's a delight to use. But if I'm honest, it doesn't really have any extra capability than any of the other whips. On the tip, it's got a braided connector, and that rotates, it's on a swivel. And that way the rig doesn't get twisted around your tip so easily. That's a really nice touch. It didn't allow me to catch fish that I was unable to catch before. It didn't unlock a whole new style of fishing. So it's lighter, more balanced, recovers more quickly. What it did was made a really enjoyable form of fishing even more enjoyable. Most of the whips we've looked at have got these plastic, what I call Stenfo connectors with a sleeve that pushes up over a hook, with the exception of the fiberglass whip, which just had a metal ring. That might sound like a tiny detail, but for an angler that goes out fishing regularly, these little things become important. So that's probably the best way to describe the Acolyte. It's not revolutionary, it's not going to change much, it's just a real pleasure to use. So if the Acolyte represents refinement, this Cadence 6 metre system whip represents capability. So unlike the other whips, this is telescopic only in the top 3 sections. It's still incredibly light, and the connector that I've got is an old style whip-on system. Sections 4, 5 and 6 are put together like a pole. So the great thing about the system whip is you've got the reach that a pole angler might have, but without the heavy weight of a pole and all that luggage like the rollers to boot, but also the versatility that a whip gives. In winter, with a system whip, I'm not putting my pole directly above the fish that I'm trying to catch, whereas a pole angler is, and that can scare them off. On shallow venues like canals, that can make a massive difference. So for my fishing, particularly on the Bristol Avon, where I'm at the moment, that extra reach is incredibly useful because it's about 15 foot deep, just a few meters out. So venue depth is something else you need to think about when you're whip fishing. So that's why the Cadence whip has become my preferred whip of choice. It's just most suited to the venue and to me. We can't ignore the fact that most commercial fisheries have got carp in them. It gets to a point though where we need to stop talking about whip fishing and talk about pole fishing. Don't confuse whips with margin poles. The tackle trade is doing a brilliant job of trying to confuse people to try and sell kit. So the whip has to suit the person as well as the venue, as well as the fish you're going for. Which leads us on to what whip should you buy? Well, after all these years, there's no perfect answer, I'm afraid. The most expensive whip that I've just shown you isn't the one I always reach for. All of them taught me how to improve my fishing, and some of them changed the way I thought about my fishing. Some were bought for specific jobs, others I just bought for a bit of fun. But each one was bought for a reason. And looking back, they probably tell the story of my fishing experience better than I've realised. If there's one big thing that I've learned, it's that different whips exist to solve different problems. And what I didn't realise at the beginning was what all those different problems could be. The trick isn't finding the best whip, it's finding the best whip for the type of fishing you do. Perhaps the biggest thing whips gave me wasn't fish, it was precision. The fixed line forcing me to concentrate on one very small area that over the years just got smaller and smaller. Maybe spending 10 minutes plumbing the depth before choosing where that's going to be. It taught me to feed and bait more accurately. It also made me give much greater thought to the water column and all the different levels within it, and to pay much closer attention to exactly what the fish were doing. And over time, it helped me refine everything that I was already doing, not just the tackle, the way I actually approached fishing itself. In fact, they become even more important when we move on to float fishing with the rod and reel, which is going to be in a future video. And it looks like I've got an armada of kayaks coming. Do you think you could ask them to back that way a little bit? Thank you.